Okay, let's go over what your task is going to look like. When you log in, you're going to immediately see the task and you're going to have the instructions document. You click this and it links to the instructions document that we went over earlier and the checklist. So these are consistently available for you directly here as well. We're going to have some refreshers basically. The first thing I want to draw your attention to, however, is going to be in the prompt guideline category. So your assigned language is going to be here, and so is your assigned locale. Triple check this before moving on in your task. So I see here I have English and Canadian English. That means my prompt must be in Canadian English, and ideally my response from the model is as well. And so this is what we are looking at when we are judging the model response quality. And the prompt quality is that you're complying with the assigned language. And we have this as a double check here, just as a reminder for you as well. So please triple check. If this is not a language or locale you're familiar with and it's something you don't know, please skip the task and also flag this to your QM. After this, we have the reminder to start the chat. Big thing, please pick prompts and ask questions that you can actually assess. If you ask something that's out of your expertise level or that you don't know the answer to, you're likely going to make a mistake in the ratings, and I would hate for you to have a low quality task just because it was something you didn't understand. You have the freedom to actually pick what you're going to write here, so please choose carefully. So you can write a simple prompt, and we want to use LaTeX when we're writing our prompts as well. I'm going to go ahead and write a super simple prompt just to get us started, and I'm going to show you what it looked like. Maybe let's ask, what is the x-intercept of, and then LaTeX, so I'm going to do y equals negative 2x plus 3. So you can see here, I can see my preview to make sure that my LaTeX is rendering correctly. If you're not familiar with $ LaTeX, please, I would heavily advise you to use some tools, like I mentioned earlier, use an LLM just to make sure that your LaTeX is correct. As well, if we come up with a tool that we can make helpful for you to be able to use LaTeX as well, we're going to link it right here. So keep an eye out for that. So I'm going to submit my message, and then it's going to ask you for your final answer. This is helpful because to you, it's going to make sure that before you proceed, you're actually doing the calculation yourself and making sure that you have an independent or an unbiased view of what the response should be. So I know that the x-intercept for this is going to be 1.5. And next, you're going to have the two model responses load. And so you're going to see immediately what the model responses are going to be. And then you are going to go and rate them, basically, through each thing. Super, 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 super important. Please, please, please be super thorough and very careful when doing your ratings. As well, if you flag an issue, explain and justify why. Second thing of super importance. Here, this area here, this is the model response. This should be in the language that you asked the prompt in. So if I asked in Egyptian Arabic, the response should be in Egyptian Arabic. If I asked in Romanized Hindi, it should be in Romanized Hindi. And if I asked in Australian English, it should return in Australian English. So the model response should be in the language. And then if it's not, you should basically flag this as well. The second thing is we actually care about localization. So what does this mean? It means that if my prompt is asking something in Egyptian Arabic, then the response, and I'm asking something, it's a word problem related to money, for example, the response shouldn't mention dollars, it should mention Egyptian pounds because I'm asking in Egyptian Arabic. And if I'm asking something maybe in another dialect or another language, it should be localized as well to the local context. So don't always assume just an American point of view for these responses. The second thing is for the justifications, these should be in English. So these are reviewed by the project team, by the customer. So for example, if your task is in Korean or Japanese, while the prompt and responses should be in Korean and Japanese, the justification, this should always be in English. And the justification is particularly important. The justification helps the reviewer see what you saw. So if you saw an error and you don't explain it well enough and the reviewer somehow misses it, then they may give your task a lower quality score. And so make sure your justification is super explainable. So go through and rate each response. As well, to help you, if you click here, this is a bit hidden, so pay attention. If you click here and click render, look how the LaTeX renders. So let me take that away. Look here, it has all the dollar signs and stuff. Is very tough to read. I click this, now it's very easy for me to take a look at. Another important thing, the save changes, it's not just at the bottom here. Each response, so response 1 and response 2 both have save changes. So click save changes for response 1, then go on, response 2, click here again, render LaTeX, and then do your ratings. After that, you're going to basically have to select the better response, okay? So it's on a scale of 1 to 7, you're going to have to select the better response. So again, click here, render the LaTeX, and this is incredibly important. Remember how you just spent all this time rating the two responses on the dimensions and justifying why? Now you should have a pretty good idea of what response 1 is good at and what response 2 is good at. I really need you to remember what I'm about to say right now. Make sure that your selection is consistent with what the ratings are. So if I said response 1 has a bunch of issues and response 2 has no issues, then response 2 should be better. As well, if I said that response 1 is better than response 2, but it has a major issue, it shouldn't be much better. It should be better or slightly better. Something can't be much better if it's also broken and also has issues. So please be mindful when selecting. You're going to select your verdict and then write a justification. Again, this should be in English. And I want you to start with your verdict. So start by saying like at response 1. And then when you write this, sometimes it takes a couple tries. Basically, you'll be able to like select it like that. Is better than at response 2. And then you'll be able to select this, and this basically just makes sure that like this is processing correctly, and then explain why. And here's something important: all the justifications you write here in these sections here, like what you write here, you want to repeat this information here, because basically these are different fields, so you want to have the information consistent in each field. Then you press save and continue. Now you're going to have this question: does the selected response have any issues? Basically, remember how we're telling the model, remember what we said at the beginning? We give the model two responses and help it decide what's the better one, so that the chatbot actually surfaces better responses to the user. If the selected response has a major issue, like let's say that I ask Siri, hey, what are two different paths to the nearest grocery store? And one path is better than the other, but the path it suggests still has an issue, like I make a wrong turn, or it's slower than it should be. Well, that's an error. We want to fix the error basically in the selected response, because then ultimately that makes the user get the best possible response. So if it has any math truthfulness errors, any instruction following or language errors, you need to select yes here to be able to fix it. If you select no, then that means that the selected response, what you select, doesn't have math, doesn't have truthfulness, doesn't have instruction following, doesn't have localization or language errors. If you select no because you don't want to do a rewrite, because maybe you're feeling a little lazy, that's not going to be good, because then you're going to have your submission be super low quality and it's going to fail. So select this carefully. If it doesn't need it, press no. If it needs it, click yes, save and continue. And then you're basically going to have an opportunity here to quickly fix the issue. So let's say the issue here was that this should have been 3/2. Well, then I would have made this 3/2 in LaTeX properly. It's going to render, click finish editing, and then you're able to submit your task.